You thought a feather brings luck? In Fengshui, the wrong energy turns that charm into a money trap. Carrying a feather keychain while your mind is messy, it doesn't attract signs. It multiplies confusion. And wealth energy? Gone with the wind. Feathers feel magical, don't they? So soft, so light, like the universe is brushing your shoulder. We clip them on keychains, hang them in cars. Some say they're signs, some say they're messages from angels. But here's the thing Feng Shui teaches us. Symbols don't work alone. They respond to the energy you carry. So if your thoughts are racing, if your spirit is unsettled, that feather might not bring peace. It might be amplifying the storm. So, if you've ever felt like something invisible was messing with your clarity, if you believed a feather keychain meant peace, guidance, or divine timing, you might want to stay for this. Because sometimes, what feels spiritual is actually spiraling your energy. This is part of our Feng Shui keychain playlist, where we gently adjust the energy flow around everyday charms we carry without even thinking. If you're curious how something so small could impact your wealth and peace, take a breath and keep watching. You ever pick up a feather keychain thinking it'll calm you down, but somehow your day just gets more chaotic? So here's what most people don't realize. When your head's already a mess, like you're overthinking, jumping from one anxious thought to the next, and you still carry that feather keychain, oh man, it doesn't help. It actually holds on to that noise, like static clinging to a fuzzy sweater. And yeah, at first it feels comforting. You think, this will help me feel guided, right? But no. That little feather becomes a magnet for your confusion. Instead of soft signs, you get mixed signals. Instead of clarity, it just adds more weight. Why? Because the feather doesn't filter your thoughts. It reflects them, loudly. You start seeing everything as a sign. You misread, overthink, second-guess every tiny thing. A random song, a phone call, a shadow in the mirror. It all gets louder. Not because the feather is speaking, but because your confusion is echoing. So, here's what to do. And it's simple, really. First, take a deep breath. Now, gently unclip the feather from your keychain. Like, really pause and do it with intention. You don't have to throw it away. Just give it space to rest. Maybe wrap it in a soft cloth white or light blue is lovely. Place it somewhere calm, like a drawer you rarely open, or the corner of a bookshelf that gets gentle sunlight in the morning. And then, sit still. Let your mind breathe. You don't need a sign when your energy is noisy. You need silence, stillness. Because only when you're calm, can you hear what's truly meant for you? I used to carry one clipped to my car keys, especially when things felt heavy. One week, everything was spiraling. Deadlines, bad dreams, phone calls I didn't want to answer. I thought the feather would help. But honestly, I felt even more jittery, like it was buzzing with the noise I couldn't process. So, one night, I took it off. Just quietly let it go. The next morning, I didn't feel fixed, but I finally felt still. After that, the chaos didn't disappear overnight, but I stopped chasing signs, and slowly, very gently, my mind came back to me. Feathers don't guide storms, they drift after stillness. So, what happens when we confuse comfort with clarity? Ever stare at your feather keychain and wonder, was that a sign? Or are you just hoping it is? So here's where a lot of us get it wrong. We turn to the feather when we're emotionally shaken, like after a bad phone call, or when you're lying in bed with your mind racing at 2 a.m. You're feeling lost, anxious, just not okay. And the feather? It becomes a crutch. You hold it tighter, hoping, please just give me a sign. But here's the catch. When your heart's messy, your energy is noisy. And noisy energy? It doesn't read signs, it scrambles them. So now, every little thing feels loaded. You glance at your keychain and think, wait, is that a message? You feel a gust of wind and go, oh no, is something wrong? It becomes this loop, this exhausting chase. You're not connecting to the universe. You're projecting your panic into a symbol that was never meant to carry that much weight. What happens next? You read into everything. You see feathers in the street and assume it's a warning. You dream of flying and wake up in a panic. Even your keychain brushing your hand at the gas station feels like a cosmic signal. It's exhausting. You don't feel uplifted, you feel chased. Okay, so what do you do instead? Start by giving your feather some space. Not forever, just for now. Take it off your keys, gently. Don't toss it accideno, no. Lay it somewhere soft. A folded scarf, a little wooden bowl, maybe next to a photo that makes you smile. Let it rest. Let you rest. Then grab a notebook. Yeah, an actual notebook. Write down 3 things. 1. What am I feeling right now? 2. What am I afraid of? 3. What do I wish someone would tell me? You'll be surprised, so surprised, how clearly your own energy speaks once you let it come through in your own handwriting. Because here's the thing. Symbols like feathers, they work best when your inner voice is quiet enough to hear the real whisper. One evening, I had this heavy knot in my chest. I couldn't explain it. So I clutched my feather keychain, almost begging it to give me a sign. That night, I dreamt of a door slamming shut. I panicked, thought it was a bad omen. But later that week, I realized I'd shut myself off. The feather didn't warn me. It just reflected what I was already afraid to see. Once I let go of that desperation for signs, my nervous system finally relaxed. I stopped asking, what does this feather mean? And started asking, what am I feeling right now? Feathers don't speak louder when you're hurting. They speak clearer when you're ready. But what happens when your space turns into a signal trap? Ever notice how feathers just show up? In the street, in dreams, even in songs. But what if it's not guidance, just energetic noise? Okay, this one, it sneaks in so quietly. You don't even notice it at first. You clip your feather keychain onto your bag, just like any other charm, right? But day after day, it's there, touching your fingers when you grab your wallet, peeking out when you're at the cafe counter, sitting silently next to your phone when you cry in the car. And bit by bit, something strange happens. You start looking for messages everywhere. A feather floating on the sidewalk? Is that a sign I should leave this job? A weird dream with wings in it? Oh my God, is the universe warning me? But here's the thing. It's not that the feather is bad. It's just become too constant. It's no longer a sacred object, it's a trigger. A sponge, soaking up your overthinking, your panic, your late-night spirals. And instead of giving you clarity, it keeps replaying the same emotional static over and over again. The more you carry it around like that, day after day, the more it becomes an emotional mirror, but not a clear one. It starts reflecting back your fears, your overthinking, even your old emotional loops. Suddenly, you're not trusting your intuition anymore. You're just reacting constantly. All right, so here's a gentle shift you can try. Don't carry it with you all the time. Instead, turn it into a sacred object that lives in just one place. Choose somewhere calm, like the corner of your bedroom dresser, or on a little tray near your window where the sunlight pours in slowly every morning. Lay the feather down on a folded cloth. White, soft beige, or smoky gray works beautifully. Then place a small clear quartz beside it. This isn't decoration, it's an energy cue. Every time you walk by, let it remind you. You don't have to interpret everything. Some things are just presents. And once a week, maybe Sunday night, sit by it quietly. Ask yourself just one thing. What part of me is still searching? You don't need the feather to speak. You just need to listen softly. I remember this one night too. It was such a mess. I couldn't sleep. My mind was just running, overthinking everything. I had that feather keychain right on my nightstand, and I kept staring at it like it was going to glow or something. I even whispered, "If I meant to leave, give me a sign." So silly, right? But in that moment, it felt so real. Like the feather was my hotline to the universe. And then, get this, my phone pinged out of nowhere. An email. At 3:14 a.m. I gasped. Literally gasped. Turns out it was just some coupon from a grocery store. But by then, my heart was racing. My chest felt tight. And I just sat there, wide-eyed, exhausted. That was the night I realized. I wasn't hearing guidance. I was chasing ghosts made out of my own stress. After that night, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I took the feather off my keychain. And wow, it was oddly peaceful. I felt like my energy finally had a moment to breathe. The noise stopped. My dreams became softer. I stopped asking for signs and started hearing my own voice again. Not everything needs to be loud to be meaningful. Sometimes, the quiet is what saves you. A feather doesn't always mean flight. Sometimes, it means land softly. But hey, what happens when your feather sits too close to something chaotic? You fixed the feather's placement, but what's sitting right next to it? You think placing the feather in a quiet spot is enough? But the noob sits sitting right next to chaos, and you don't even realize it. Like a feather keychain hung on the same hook as your car keys, with that noisy key fob that keeps buzzing, or it's lying beside a cracked phone screen, blinking with dozens of unread texts. Or maybe you cheats next to that work folder that you swear you'll get to later, but never do. And what happens? That soft, gentle energy gets swallowed. Instead of channeling guidance, the feather becomes just another thing fighting for attention in the middle of your mental clutter. No wonder it feels like you're not getting any signs. The space is too loud to hear them. The area becomes energetically split. One side pulls you in for rest, but the other side keeps poking at your to-do list. And your nervous system? It starts confusing stillness with tension. Before you know it, your feather space becomes just another corner you avoid. No messages, no clarity, just noise with a soft disguise. So, take a slow breath. And this time, look around your feather, not just at it. What's sitting next to it? Be honest. A pile of receipts? A charger cord? That bright red sticky note screaming, "Call back"? Oh boy. Yeah, that's gotta go. Start by gently removing anything that's loud visually or emotionally. Things with sharp colors, stressful energy, or too much activity. Like seriously, even a single tangled necklace can mess with the vibe. No, replace those things with calming textures. Try a smooth river stone, a folded cloth in soft linen, a dried flower, maybe lavender or sage. You want stillness, not silence, but stillness. And hey, add something sacred. A handwritten word, a tiny shell, a photo of someone who grounds you. Let the feather breathe beside energy that whispers peace, not demands. It's not about making an altar. It's about letting your energy exhale when it passes by. Because when the objects surrounding your feather are calm, you begin to calm too. I remember visiting a friend's apartment last fall. She had this beautiful white feather keychain hanging near her bookshelf. I gasped, "Wow, that's gorgeous!" But right underneath it, a stack of unopened bills. Like, yikes. She laughed it off, saying, "Oh, I just thought it looked peaceful there." Peaceful? Maybe. But I couldn't stop staring at that little tension between calm and chaos. So, one afternoon, while we were cleaning together, I asked if I could help her shift things. We gently moved the feather to a small tray near her window, alongside a smooth obsidian stone and a handwritten note from her grandma. The shift was immediate. Her face softened. She whispered, "It feels different now." And honestly, it did. The whole room exhaled. And so did she. After that, my feather corner became my reset spot. I'd glance at it during chaotic days, and boom-own, deep breath. That's all it took. It finally felt like peace had a place. True calm isn't just chosen, it's designed. But hey, what if the type of feather you're using is carrying a heavier history? Have you ever left your feather keychain hanging in your car, thinking it might bring you peace while you drive? But oh, instead of peace, what if all it does is stir up more chaos? Oh gosh, I used to think it looked so cute. That feather keychain swaying gently on my rearview mirror, like a little guardian while I drove. But honestly, it didn't bring calm, it brought clutter. Every little bump in the road made it twitch. It kept bouncing. Tick, 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 like it was knocking to get out. Even at a red light, there it was, moving like a thought I couldn't shake. And wow me, head, a mess. I couldn't focus. The car became a place of noise, not reflection. It was subtle, but constantly unsettling. You know that feeling when something's always shifting in the corner of your eye? Yeah, that's not guidance. That's nervous energy on loop. Feathers aren't meant to dangle in traffic. They're not decor. They're messengers, quiet ones. And if they're constantly swinging, how can you ever hear what they're trying to say? So, what if we stopped the motion? Just for a while. Take that feather keychain down. Yeah, right now, gently. Hold it. Notice how soft it issues still. You don't need it to dangle to feel its energy. In fact, it works better when it's resting. Now, think about where in your home you feel the most mental noise. That spot that always feels cluttered, even when it's clean. Maybe your nightstand with too many books. Or your entry table where keys and receipts pile up. Or even your workspace. So much buzzing energy sometimes. Place the feather there. Flat. Still. Maybe next to a grounding crystal, or on a folded cloth in a color that calms you like a soft teal or warm ivory. Let the feather rest. Let it stop fluttering, because messages don't shout when they arrive. They land, quietly, and when the air around it stops buzzing, you might just feel something shift inside you. I remember this one woman. She told me her feather used to ride everywhere with her, back and forth on the mirror, tapping, twisting, tangling, until one day it fell off. She was upset, thought it meant something bad, but a few days later, she found it again, not in the car, but tucked quietly behind her bedside lamp. She left it there, and night by night, her thoughts softened. The dreams returned, and the anxiety that followed her home each evening, it just eased. That feather stopped moving, and so did the noise in her head. Sometimes the clearest signs don't swing, they wait. Stillness speaks louder than any sign that screams. So, maybe now's the time to ask, where is your feather really meant to be? Put it down where the noise begins. Oh yes, right there. That cluttered corner where your thoughts always race? Maybe it's your kitchen counter, or that drawer full of half-finished to-do lists. Lay the feather gently there, flat, unmoving. Let it soak up the scatter like a tiny energy sponge, because stillness clears chaos, and wealth needs clarity. Pair it with a money mantra softly. Sit down. Hold the feather with both hands. Whisper something simple like, "My path is guided. My flow is clear." Say it slowly, maybe with eyes closed. Let the softness of the feather remind your body what gentle abundance feels like. It's not forceful. It's not loud. It's there, always. Only carry it when your heart is steady. Seriously. Don't bring it along just because it's pretty or spiritual. Feathers reflect your emotional weather. If you're anxious or frantic, it'll scatter your field even more. But if you're grounded, clear, ready to receive, then yes. Slip it in your bag. Let it walk with you, quietly amplifying the peace you already hold. Sometimes, a feather shows up when you're barely holding it together, like the universe is saying, "Hey, I'm here, just breathe." But here's the thing. If your inner storm is too loud, even angel signs get lost in the wind. So maybe, just maybe, the feather wasn't meant to fly with you. It was meant to remind you to pause, to come back to center, to listen again. If you've ever carried something sacred but didn't feel supported by it, tell me, what did you do with that feeling? Drop a little note in the comments. Even just one word. I'll meet you there, gently,